Hi, this is Mike Torchia, and welcome to Live Well and Thrive. I have a very dear friend, Clark Bartram. Welcome to the show. Clark is an amazing individual. I mean, he is always in great shape. He always looks like he's ready for a photo shoot, which that's the way you should be. But he's been on over 130 covers of international fitness publications. He's been on QVC and all these other networks. He's an actor, model, but right now he's an inspiration, and he's inspiring young and old to get active, be more concerned about what you're putting in your body. And I just welcome you to the show. Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate it, brother. You look phenomenal as always, man. Just
thanks.
veins popping out all over the place.
You know, I as I was telling you before we started, I just love working out. And whether it's legs or back or arms or whatever it is, I just can't wait to get to the gym. I have excitement for it. And then when I'm in the gym, I hear people go, "Oh, I got to do legs today." I'm like, wow, to take that attitude, how are you going to have an effective workout? I mean, what keeps you going? You're always in shape. You're always so positive. What keeps you going? Was it, were you a Marine?
Yeah, I was a Marine.
Okay, so did that military training help you?
That definitely helped for sure. But, honestly, I think it's pride that keeps me going. We got one body, right? And you get this as much as anyone does. And we have the privilege of living in it. And I want people to look at me and go, damn, bro, wow, what do you do? How old are you? How much do you bench? All of these questions that we get all the time that have people wondering what it is that we do that make us an anomaly, really is what we are. Because it's unfortunate that we live in a world where we stick out as something that's almost alien-like, right? We walk around and people look at you and you get it as much as I do or more. And that's what keeps me going. And it's not an ego thing as much as it is, I love looking good, functioning high, and just having a lot of energy in life, man.
Well, what I found was quite interesting was years ago, like when we were in competition shape and I was in competition shape, we walk in and people are like, oh my God, your physique is incredible. Now they're looking at me like, you look great for your age,
That's the worst compliment in the world. It's like, dude, no, I look great, period.
Yeah.
Age has nothing to do with it.
So it's, you have to get that right mindset and understand their intentions are pure, they're just being kind. But, when you're on stage, I remember one show I won in New York, and there was like 30,000 people in the audience, and I won, and I just remember holding that trophy up. And the high I had was like, remember, because I know this wasn't going to last forever. So I was prepared as my career was ending that I'm going to need to pass it on to the new young bucks that are going to take my place and continue on and go to a higher level than I ever could have went to. But it's a big change. Like I spoke to Sylvester Stallone about his career. He goes, Mike, you know what it was like to be the biggest action star in the world? And now I'm an older man and I don't look as strong and tough and I don't move as fast. And, he goes, it was a readjustment. But as he put in his documentary, he understood other values of what he has in life, not just his physicality, and he had to shift it. And that's why he really focused on directing and writing more and developing really beautiful projects. So he also had to kind of shift gears. And then Arnold brought up, he started looking at his body going, oh my God, what's this? That. He saw the changes in his body. He had to readjust. So with you and I, we've just stayed in great shape. So it's not like we had to really adjust anything except for the mental fact that we have to accept we're getting older, unfortunately. And, when you walk into a gym, you see these younger people training, but with horrible form. Doesn't that irk you when you see that? I mean, here are these young people, they're on Instagram, they have millions of people following them, but their form is horrible.
Yeah.
It's just, doesn't it make you crazy?
I got trolled hardcore the other day on the internet because I made a post and I let it off with a pattern interrupt of sets and reps don't matter. And it made people go absolutely batshit crazy because they missed the point. And the point was, I could take the majority of the people I see in gyms today, slow down their repetitions, cut their weight in half, get their mind muscle connected, and get them as good of a pump or better, as good of a result or better. It's because people are caught up with numbers, I got to get 10. Well, they're thinking about the 10th rep before they think about 1 through 9. So that's my point. And it is true that we're just caught up in this ego-driven society that is all about how much we can lift. It seems like everybody's deadlifting now, everybody. And I don't know if the risk-reward ratio is there for that lift or not. And you could even ask powerlifters. Some will agree with that statement. But the point is, the mind-muscle connection for me is the key. And if I have to go half the weight and lift the weight a whole lot better, I'm willing to do that. And I don't care what anybody thinks.
Well, I remember that post. I thought it was great.
Oh.
And if anything, I thought you were going to get all these compliments.
Oh, no.
Because it made common sense, because I understand what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But it went over their heads. What's this guy talking about? He's out of his mind, right? Probably, right?
Get some muscle before you say this. I'm like, do you even? That's crazy.
But listen, when I was 19 years old and I won the Teenage Mr. America, Arthur Jones flew me down to train with him and Casey Viator. And I worked with Dr. Ellington Darden, who's an absolute genius.
Just bought his book the other day.
I mean, and I learned so much, and it was all about perfect form, perfect technique, and understanding your body's needs. So I train like that since I worked with Arthur Jones and Casey and Dr. Ellington Darden and the mentors and all them later on. I realize there's certain days where I'm going to do more sets or less sets depending on how much I'm exerting, but I don't think it matters, like you, sets and reps. You're challenging the body. That's the main thing. And sometimes you can do it more intensely in a shorter amount of workout. Some people want to have a lot lower intensity and more sets that'll equal to stimulate the muscle, but they don't count. And I agree with you 100%. It's a shame that people are disrespectful to you because they don't understand what we've seen, what we've gone through. We've done it all. And quite frankly, I see a lot of these people that claim they're celebrity trainers.
Yeah.
But who have they trained?
Yeah. Nobody. And the thing is, those three names that you just rattled off that you've had the privilege of working with, most people have no idea who they are and the contribution they made to what it is all of these people are doing in the gyms. Like half of those machines, Arthur Jones had something to do with. I got a really funny story for you. A while ago, I was in Vons, and there was an older lady in front of me. She turned around and commented on how I looked. She said, "Oh, you look great," And so we got in a conversation about lifting weights, and she brought up Jack LaLanne. And no, I brought up Jack LaLanne. She goes, "Oh, you know Jack?" And I said, "Oh, yeah, I work with Jack." And she's like, "Oh, well, okay. Well, him and my husband didn't get along all that well." I said, "Well, what's your name?" She said, "Well, my name is Mrs. Marcy." I said, "You're Marcy of Marcy Equipment?" So apparently what I learned in the line at Vons is Jack and Mr. Marcy had an argument over who invented the selectorized weight stack.
Right.
So, but anyway, my point is all of these people who've had such a contribution to what we do have been either overlooked or forgotten or not recognized for what they've done. Arthur Jones is where I learned all of my stuff. At a family fitness center way back in the 80s when the Nautilus line was there, and it was 12 to 15 on the lower body, 8 to 12 on the upper body, go through the circuit, and that was it. That was your workout.
Yeah.
And that's how I've pretty much structured my workout ever since, So,
what I loved when I went down to DeLand, Florida, because it was like his research lab. It wasn't a gym, it was a lab. And he had when I first walked in there, I looked around, I saw equipment that was massive. I mean, equipment I've never seen before, and things that were prototypes that he never released.
Wow.
So I got to try these, like this incredible squat machine, all these other machines that were never really released. They were only for his lab. And I looked around, and then I saw a sign on the door, and it says, "Do not enter, enter your own risk," or something like that. And I said, "What's in there?" He goes, "Never mind, just don't go in there."
Yeah, and you
So
didn't go.
I'm 19 years old. So then, of course, after he left, I walk in there, and it was full of alligators. And those were his pets. He'd go in there and give them sides of beef and they'd eat it. And as soon as I opened the door, I guess they thought when he goes in there, he feeds them, right?
Yeah.
And they're charging towards me. I'm like, oh my God. I slam the door. I'm going, oh my God. And he comes running in and he goes, what did I tell you? He goes, I knew you were going to walk in there anyway. But be careful, because when I walk in there, I feed them, they're hungry. And I'd hate to see you lose those great quads, because they grabbed that first, like a side of beef. So we just laughed. And then he showed me into the locker room. And I said, why are there buckets everywhere? He goes, oh, tomorrow morning you'll know.
Puke.
Yeah. So sure enough, after the first 20 minutes, Casey goes, I'll get the bucket to Arthur. They bring out the bucket and I just, ugh. But he said, hey, after you throw up, it's going to stimulate all this growth hormone. And he was right. I rinsed my mouth out, trained. I got stronger, more powerful. So he goes, no, you're going to throw up because it's actually going to be good for the body. But he educated me on everything was perfect form and technique. And if I did anything too fast or too slow, he had this specific timing with the movement, not just making sure you're in the machine and specific movement. And well, we also did dumbbell work too, because he believed in that. But he was so meticulous that I respected his genius. And I got to tell you something. A year later, I won the Collegiate Mr. USA. I won every single body part. It was probably the finest condition I was ever in. And I continued that training that I did with Casey and Arthur and Dr. Ellington Darden. And I followed it. And I was like a human anatomy. And it was so funny when I had gone down there and they weighed me and Arthur goes, I don't know how you're gonna survive. Your body fat was I think it was 1.4.
Jeez.
They put me and he goes, you only have fat in between your organs. You have no exterior fat. He couldn't grab anything. And he said, I need you to put on more body fat because you can die. You can very vulnerable to get very badly sick. I just followed everything they said about diet and training. So when I went from that 19-year-old to that 20-year later, I was a freak of nature. It was at the Oklahoma State University, and there were over 120 competitors. And people that have master's degrees can go in it. So there were all these older guys that were in amazing shape. But I was like a human anatomy chart. And my quads are sweeping, the calves were massive, the arms got really full, cross striations. I could go like this and it's popping. But it was all from Arthur and Casey drilling on how to train correctly. And I was training less than I ever did in my whole life. And I've watched you. You're in, you're out, but you are like a shark, like a machine. One machine to the next machine, to the next machine. You're not worried about, hey, catching up on the phone. I never see you pick up a phone, which I think is great. But what do you think about this obsession with people with their phone in the gym?
Well, we live in a social media world, and if it's not documented, it didn't happen according to them, and it's getting in people's way. I think that they should create a gym for that specifically. Like this mansion here is made for podcasting and music and all that sort of stuff. It's designed for that reason, so no one's going to be upset.
Well, do you know there are several gyms in West Hollywood where you pay $300 a month and you can shoot your video and everything during your workout. But you have to pay for it.
Okay.
They're just monetizing it.
Yeah.
So if you want to go there and you do your videos, which you can set up your tripod, you're allowed, but you have to pay a higher fee.
It should be only those people. So people like us who are going in there to actually get a workout aren't going to be in the way or affected, because that is even becoming a thing where people are fronting people out who get mad at somebody else. Like there are influencers who've made their mark by calling people out for calling people out.
Right.
It's really interesting. It's a wild, wild west. It's nuts. And, I go to my little gym and people do their thing. I mind my business and come home. I got a gym at the house. I can train there if I want.
Now, are you doing seminars? Are you training people? What are you doing right
now?
So
I coach men all over 50 around the world. So that's my program. It's called Maximize Man Elite.
And it's virtual?
It's virtual.
Oh, great.
Yeah, I have 2 people in person, and I only did that because they just showed up at my house because there's a sign at the end of the driveway that says personal trainer. That's for my wife. But my program's online, Maximize Man Elite. It's growing every single day. And I have guys that once thought it wasn't possible to change, now believing it is, because we're living proof of the fact that it's never too late, you're never too old, you're not too far gone. It's a matter of making a choice and being consistent with it. This is the problem that we live with in this world is if you don't get a result right away, you want to give up and go buy the next ebook or hire the next trainer or join the next gym. It doesn't work that way. All you got to do is stick with it. It's not rocket science. This stuff is easy.
Now, as you got older and your body chemistry changed, what did you do when you started realizing, I'm not as muscular or I'm not as low as body fat? What did you do? Did you increase the training? Did you adjust the diet, or did you do both? Because you look so lean and so fit. What happened when you started noticing you're not producing as much testosterone or you're not as lean? What did you do to adjust? Because I know there's a lot of people out there that are working out, they're aging now and say, hey, I need to prepare when I'm starting to get to an older age. I'm going to need to shift my training program.
I embraced sleep more than I ever have in my life. I go to bed. I have a bedtime at 8 o'clock and I stick to it. I'm sleeping by 8:06. I sleep through the night like a baby. I think that recovery has been the single most important thing because to your point, I'm in and out of the gym in 20, 30 minutes if I'm not doing cardio. And it's just become way more efficient for me. I'm way more efficient than I've ever been in my life.
So knowing what you know now, say when you were in your prime, when you said you could have been a whole nother level if you knew what you knew then,
Oh,
now?
absolutely. I could have been one of the biggest bodybuilders if I chose to go that route, but I didn't choose that route. I chose to go the whole, what we'll call fitness model route and be ready for photo shoots at all time. There was a line in the sand that a fork in the road that I had to come to and realize, okay, I'm going to go that way or that way. I looked at bodybuilding and becoming Mr. Olympia and all that sort of stuff and thought, I don't want to go that route. I want to be in the magazines. And back then, guys would be in shape or not in shape. That was it. No fitness models existed. Yeah. And I heard a bodybuilder say that one time to Ralph DeHaan. He said, I'll call you next time I'm in shape. And I thought, what if I'm always in shape? So that was the direction that I took. And had I known then what I know now, I could have monetized and capitalized on that even more than I did.
I always admired your physique, and I really liked that you never tried to get to be so massive, because I saw, I won't mention names, but there's a couple of the bodybuilders in golds that were fitness models. They have beautiful symmetry and tapered waist. And now they're so massive. Their hips, their waist are like so thick, muscular, not fat, but they look blocky. And they didn't look so impressive as they put on more muscle. It's the reverse. And what you did was, it's like a Picasso. You let it be. You didn't try to do anything extreme. You kept the small waist and nice, the full belly, the biceps, everything. You had calves, you had complete physique. And that's what I admired you. You never strayed with that temptation of getting bigger. Yeah. And I've seen so many people really screw up their joints. I walk into Golds, I see these guys, they're massive. I'll give them credit to them, powerful, but they have elbow wraps, they have knee wraps. Their back, they're wearing their belt so tight, they look like they're going to explode because they're in such back pain, but they want to lift that heavy, 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 heavy weight. And as you know, after the age of 30, you're not as powerful, your joints are not as strong and as healthy as they were, and you're putting on hundreds and hundreds of pounds of weight. At my prime, I did like a triple of 505 on the bench. Yeah. But I knew that was for a period of time. It was when I'm in late 20s. But then I knew I can't be lifting heavy weights because sooner or later we have, my buddy Rick Valenti tore his pec, changed his whole career. He could have been up there. He had a magnificent physique, but he tore the pec. But you know what? If he didn't tear the pec, he wouldn't have had the body shaping show. Yeah. And it took him to that direction. So, the universe rewards the active, and you can always find ways. But like I said, with you always maintain this symmetrical portion of physique. And I like your post, which you do on Instagram and social media in general, about giving people sensible advice. Hopefully they won't be stubborn-headed and react like they did poorly when you were just trying to give them sensible advice.
Yeah. Well, that drives the algorithm, and I'm fine with it. With respect to that, I know you got to wrap up here shortly, but I do want to mention the fact that, with the diagnosis that I have of cancer, I'm out on a mission now.
I didn't know you had
Yeah,
cancer.
so
Oh, no,
it's
wow.
Prostate cancer.
Oh,
That's one of the
sorry.
things that has shifted in my life. It's fine, and I think I'm the perfect guy to get it, honestly. And I have a nonprofit organization where I am really becoming this voice for the disease and telling men, get your PSA checked. Like, we're at an age now where this happens to 1 in 7 men. And when I got the diagnosis about 9 months ago, I like, let's go. Everyone's like, that's so on brand for you, Clark. But I realized that I have a platform and I get on platforms. And thank you for inviting me, by the way, because it gives me the opportunity to tell men, go out, get your PSA checked, because it's important. It's a check engine light to lead you in the direction of whether or not there might be something more nefarious happening in the background that you don't know about, because this is such a like symptomatic thing. And unless you're getting your blood checked and doing it consistently, you might not know that something's going on that could be worse down the road.
Now,
So,
are there symptoms that you didn't know about?
like I said, it's asymptomatic. I was just looking at my testosterone because, to your point earlier, I go online and I help guys boost their testosterone naturally. I'm not on TRT. I get trolled for that all the time. And I was looking at that, and my concierge doctor said, yeah, your testosterone levels are 804, but your PSA is 9.8. You better get to your urologist. So I went through that whole process, found out I have it. I'm still, I'm doing a lot of, we'll call it holistic stuff, and then looking at standard of care, allopathic type of treatments as well, and trying to determine which way to go. So I'm creating a program. I have a nonprofit organization called Check It Like a Man. It's checkitlikeaman.org. I have a trailer for a documentary. I've documented my entire process.
Wow.
Doctors don't even know I have my phone turned on in the office. Getting a freaking digital rectal exam, I got my phone on while the doctor's got his finger up my butt and the whole bit.
Yeah.
Because I owe it to people as being, a recognizable guy in this fitness world. I'm kind of the last guy anyone thought would ever get a diagnosis like this, but I want to use it to really make people aware of the fact.
I got to commend you. I had no idea.
Yeah.
But it's beautiful that you're doing this. You started this nonprofit because this is something that a lot of men are having.
Yeah.
And you can give them guidance. You'll be an inspiration, because if someone said to me, "Hey, I have this, and look in your condition, are you sure?" Because your physicality, right?
Yeah.
But the fact that it's not messing you up psychologically. See, I know the people that have it, and they're defeated because they're giving up, and you're not. You're just taking it on as another challenge, right? And I like the fact that you're out there in the forefront and being very outspoken about it. And I mean, man, I want you to come back and tell me how it's going with the nonprofit and what's going on with your overall, programs with people, because this is something that's needed. And I think since COVID, people are now appreciating people doing virtual coaching, because so many people can only be in certain places, and how can you do it in the comfort of your home? Yeah. And now, so when you work with someone, do you tell them to set up a gym in their home, or just this is what you do, and you
depending on the individual and their means and what they want to do. So for sure, it's all customized. Every single guy gets either myself as a coach or a coach that I've brought onto the program who's went through the program themselves. They're over 50, they're in shape, they're passionate about it. So it's a really good program that guys should seriously consider getting involved in, because I think I'm a better coach virtually than I am in person.
Right.
I just have the ability to create a community, because that's one of the biggest things is community. Back to our comment about goals. It was a community then. It's not anymore.
Yeah.
Right? So that was what made it great. And that's what I do great. I create an awesome environment for people to really thrive in.
So someone reaches out to you, is it an hour consult, half hour? What is it?
Yeah, it's an hour consultation, and then we kind of download what's multiple consultations. And then I do a Zoom call every Saturday, which, by the way, I'd love to have you speak on one of my Zoom calls.
Sure.
Every Saturday at 7 a.m. I have usually between 35 and 50 guys who you could speak to and talk about longevity and weight training and all that sort of stuff. They love it, man. So you have an open invitation anytime you want.
Thank you.
Yeah, but the whole system's very structured. I've hired coaches, spent lots of money on learning how to create infrastructure and really create an environment where people can.
So how can people get in touch with you? What's the best way?
The program is maximizemanelite.com, but my Instagram, I message everybody back.
Right.
If someone DMs me, it's me. I'll voice message them so they know it's me. I had a guy reach out to me this morning about prostate cancer, and I said, I got a 2-hour drive. I'll call you on the way. So we spoke for, an hour on the way up, and he's like, dude, thank you so much. I can't believe you took the time to do this. And I'm like, well, why wouldn't I?
Yeah. But I like that you're creating this like tribe, and bringing back the warmth and the strength like we had when we first walked into Gold's Gym.
Yeah.
We felt embraced that we're part of a community, and now you're doing it virtually. So I got to commend you. So thank you for everything today, everything you're doing, showing up for today, and our mutual friend, Jacqueline, God bless his soul. I'm working on something with the Navy SEALs to put on an event in Beverly Hills to honor Jacqueline. I was trying to do it last year, but we couldn't pull it together because we couldn't get the venue. But the Navy SEALs are helping me pull some favors to get it done, and they want to do a whole Navy SEALs, a little mini training program.
Okay.
And in fact, they invited me to go down to San Diego to spend a day of going through a Navy SEALs training program. So I was wondering if you want to come join me.
Oh, I'd love to. I did it before. I'll do it again. I know a lot of those guys. That's where I shot the pilot episode of my TV show, American Health and Fitness. I went down and did the run, swim, run, the obstacle course with them. Yeah.
Yeah, I just thought it'd be kind of fun that we can get out there and kick some ass with them. And they said we could drive the Humvees and we can shoot the sniper rifles and all the other stuff. So I think we're going to have a good old time down there.
I'm down. Let's go.
Well, thank you, brother.
All right, brother. Appreciate you.
It's Mike Torchia signing off. Please remember, we need your support. Appreciate if you can subscribe. Thank you for watching. Hey, thanks for watching this episode. Got great news. The merch is ready. You're going to see an array of all kinds of great products. Go to operationfitness.com. If you want to order anything, click on my store. Thanks for your support.